One thing you mentioned early on as we started the story was about the strength of your personal brand, and something I wanted to talk about now, even for marketers or product marketers that want to build their brand online. Sometimes posting something online or even building that to start with feels almost very cringy, right? Even when I read something on LinkedIn, I'm like, oh, it's another post. Unless of course it gives me value, then that's something I would save and read. But for someone who wants to start that journey with personal branding, especially online, where do you suggest they start? And how can they do it in a less cringy way?
So it's cringe for everyone. The
Yeah.
people that are successful get through the cringe because what
Yeah.
happens is so my Twitter journey, like I can sit here and say, okay, I have 110,000 followers on Twitter, but
Yeah.
the first year I had like 500, and it's not like it was like steady growth.
Yeah.
And anyone listening, like I stuck with it through that valley of just like, no one cares what I'm saying. Like, I feel like I'm putting out good content, but it's not going anywhere. You have all of this self-doubt. But what I view that as is like, what an awesome exercise in life of like to keep showing up to do something, even if you don't see immediate results.
Yeah.
When you actually see a long-term vision.
Welcome to another episode of Spill the Marketing Beans. And today I must tell you, I am super psyched about this episode because Amanda, I have been, at the risk of sounding like a super stalker, I have been following you and your career for a really long time on Twitter, because one thing is your posts have always been not only just authentic, but there's just always value in what you shared. So because of that, first of all, I'm excited to have you. Thank you for taking the time.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. It doesn't sound like a stalker. It just sounds like I'm really old. You're like, your long career. I'm like, yeah, I've done a lot of things. I'm getting up there.
Sweet. So I like, one of the biggest reasons I really wanted to have you on here is some of like the past speakers we've had, when we've spoken about like certain topics and stuff, your name came up. And I think that's one of the things I linked to you also when inviting you to be on the Spill the Marketing Beans episode. But before we get into, all of the questions that I had, let's start with your origin story. I know you've done a lot of cool things as VP of Marketing at The Knot. You found House of Wise. I know you're part of Teal also, and now you're kind of doing your own thing. I think HLG Projects, if I'm not mistaken. So I'd love to know how things started and what really helped you get to where you are in your marketing career.
Yeah, so I have a degree in marketing, a minor in statistics, and I got my first job. So I graduated at the height of the first financial crash in 2007, 2008. I was lucky enough, I graduated early, so I got ahead of the 2008 crash. So I graduated a semester early. And my senior year, I don't think I've shared this a lot. So my senior year of college, my TA for accounting, which was not my finest, course, was working at Ernst & Young, and he was like, hey, I think we need a marketing intern. Would you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, what does that mean? And so every Wednesday night, so I went to school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and every Wednesday night I took a bus for 3 hours to Chicago.
Okay.
And worked 10 hours on Thursday and 10 hours on Friday at Ernst & Young. And as a marketing intern. So saying yes to something that out of the box sounded ridiculous got me my job. And I went straight into Ernst & Young in 2008 when jobs were really hard to come by. And I know we're kind of in a similar landscape where it's like jobs are hard to come by. And so for that is say yes to things, even though they might feel unreasonable or unfeasible, because it will open up more doors down the line. So I did that for a few years and then moved. That job took me to New York City, where I started working. And so I managed the brand for a celebrity wedding planner, which was kind of like very interesting to be very young in my career and dealing with like reality TV shows, licensing deals, like product launches, retail, D2C, like all this stuff. So I like jumped in, and then from there actually launched my first startup, which was a tech startup in the wedding space.
Yeah.
It was availability software for the wedding space, and did that for a few years, learned how to truly like build a product from scratch. And that's where product marketing actually started. I had a team of engineers. I managed the backlog. I was doing the sprints. And that gave me so much knowledge, just like learning. I equate that season of my life as like my MBA.
Yeah.
Then from there went to The Knot. And so at The Knot, I was the first consumer marketer. Like it was an editorial company. It was a magazine. And when I joined, they also brought in a new CEO from Google. And so the company went through this huge transformation of like, no, we're going to become a tech company. And we're going to focus on technology and integrations and D2C. And we're, editorial was still a part of the business, but it fueled this other part of the business. And I got really deep on product marketing, learning about it, studying it, and understanding like that was a gap we had at The Knot. So I made a case. I remember I made this deck that was like, what is product marketing? And, why do we need it? And connecting, like we have this gap, like the product team isn't talking to the marketing team and they're launching things. And then customer service is over here and sales is over here. And we need this kind of glue. And so we incepted the product marketing team. And so I learned so much, just like I was at The Knot for, almost 6 years. So that was really like, everybody has one of those roles, I think, in their career that they look back and they're like, that was my transformational role that took me from an employee to a leader. And like that gave me my leadership training. So that's kind of my origin story.
I like that you built that use case. And I know even in some of my own experiences, the whole start of product marketing have been because product wasn't talking to marketing, and they would launch or release something and be like, oh, hey, yeah, we did that last week. Do you want to tell users about it? And then suddenly, they're like, oh, we probably product marketers. So once you made that case and probably got like buy-in from everyone, was there anything specifically that you did or were able to achieve that got everyone thinking, yeah, all right, that's why we need a product marketing? Do you have anything to share?
Well, once we inject that role into the product team, so the people sat, this was back when we were all in the office, but the team sat in the pods with the product manager, the designer, the UX team, the market research team. So they sat down there, but they reported to marketing is how we started it.
Okay.
And that allowed us to look at a marketing calendar from like a zoomed out view and say, okay, that person down there knows like what we're trying to accomplish from both an awareness and an acquisition standpoint. And then they're down there with that lens, now asking the questions like, why are we doing this thing? Like what audience segment are we serving here? And also, are there ways to infuse the brand voice and tone into this feature? Because like we're such a celebratory company, that's celebration should be part of any product feature that we release. So like they were kind of down there. And I just think that the app took on this new, what felt very functional into an emotional experience.
Right.
And on the other side, we had marketing now not feeling like a FedEx Kinko's, that just somebody was like, here's this thing, can you post it on social? We had so much more lead time to say, okay, this feature is coming. What is the right way to weave that in to this larger narrative that we're doing as a brand?
Right.
Because sometimes a feature and connecting it to a higher, like 30,000 foot view of your brand is hard.
Yeah.
But if you have enough lead time, you can think through, what does that look like? How do you bring that to life?
Nice. I feel that's definitely, I think I'm going to call out and share, especially with like product managers and product teams, if you have enough lead time, there's so much that we can do. Tell me about House of Wise. I think that's such an interesting product. I know it went all the way to celebrities and sports people like Serena Williams, for example. And I think even I remember what the product is for. I know it is sleep, stress, and sex. That's right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that's just simply going by what I read about it. I'm so interested to know, Amanda, how you went on to build a very strong community around it. Because I think, at least previously when we spoke about it, that's what everyone brought up, how you did that so well.
Thank you. Yeah. So House of Wise was truly like a passion project in the beginning out of COVID, where I'm not a big drinker, and I saw my friends drinking more alcohol than ever. And I wanted them to feel like there was a brand out there for them. This is really the beginnings of the low alcohol movement. Now, 4 years later, and it's like cool to not drink alcohol, but back then it wasn't. And, so what I did was, a personal brand is very powerful. And I truly believe in the founder brand narrative, and not even just the founder brand, it's the employee brand, like having people truly love where they work so much that they talk about it on social. And all of a sudden you see these people advocating for a brand. And so my marketing brain for so many years, like I've been fascinated with MLMs and like why they work and how do they still exist, and what are the mechanics behind like an MLM. So for somebody that doesn't know what an MLM is, it's a multi-level marketing. And other names for it, it's called a pyramid scheme, because the way that it works is, you start with one person. They're not focused on selling the product. They're focused on recruiting other people to sell the product. But then those people are not focused on selling the product. They're focused on recruiting more people to sell the product.
Yeah.
And you keep going down this pyramid, and what happens is you get a percentage of everyone below you. So once you recruit somebody, anybody that they recruit or touch. So coming from the Midwest, I grew up around like Mary Kay and all of these things. And so I've been so fascinated with it. And when I started to put my marketing hat on and look at everything there, I found that there were a couple of mechanics that made MLMs really predatory. And then there were some things that made them really sticky for a community. And the predatory things are like, the recruiting thing is weird. Like you having to ask somebody to join a team, and now they're like managing people, and you're adding stress to their plate, and like the financials are not actually good. It's usually the people at the top that make money and no one at the bottom is making money. So that's predatory, right? But then on the other side, it's like, what makes it sticky? What makes somebody really want to join this?
Yeah.
Is that they feel like they're part of the company. They are treated like an extension of the sales team of a company. And so for people who may not have full-time jobs or feel like a sense of connection to something, they're looking for that. I mean, we see it right now at the macro level with like the decrease in religion. People are looking and like clamoring for a sense of belonging. And so with House of Wise, what I did was I just was like, okay, there's no recruiting, there's no ickiness. but like, what if I treated my affiliates like a part of the team, and rather than paying Google and Facebook, because I couldn't do anyway because it was CBD, which is under the cannabis umbrella. I couldn't even use Google and Facebook. So I ran the numbers, figured out what my cost of acquisition could be, and I transferred that over to my affiliate fee. So somebody would make way more money on a product sale of mine than they would selling any other D2C company. So I basically created this like super affiliate program where I had a Slack channel. I treated these women like, and some men, like they were part of the team. They were in our Slack. They got company updates. We did a town hall every month. They knew who was on the team. We did trainings with them of not only just like how to build a brand and how to show up on social for anybody that wanted to learn how to do that, but also like we had an in-house sleep doctor. We had an in-house sex therapist. We would do Wise Wednesdays is what it was called. And every Wednesday at 7 p.m., this is during COVID. So everybody's like, we're wanting to do Zoom hangouts. We jump on a phone with like a sex therapist, and people could ask like their questions about, I'm going through menopause, or, you know, I'm struggling with this. And what I realized, and the takeaway for anybody listening, is like, community is not a one-way street. You can't just set up something and say, do this for me. There's so much more that you have to do for your end consumer and end community member than ask. So I think so many people do it wrong with affiliate programs because they're just like, yeah, you like our product, sell it. It's like, there's so many layers. It's like asking somebody to get married on the first date. Like, let's like court them, and let's make sure that you are bringing something to the table for them that they feel emotionally connected. And so that's kind of the origin of the House of Wise community.
So after kind of, courting them, so to speak, how did they start like reciprocating? And I know for a lot of people that launch their own communities, even say online, for example, they might share a few things and just hope someone starts a conversation. But what do you think that worked for you?
So I've written about this a little bit of like, there's a right way to launch something and a wrong way to launch something. Many people view launching things in communities like climbing a mountain and getting to the top. And then they're like, whew, that happened. Now I'm done.
Yeah.
And what launching something is actually this like slow peaks and valleys, and then you hit a top, and then you come back down, but you also have peaks and valleys coming down. And there has to be these mini beats leading up to the major beat of a launch. And so let me like break that down. So first you want to like get their DNA into your ecosystem. I want to get your feedback on the thing that I am building. Why? One, it makes the product better. Two, you now feel like you did something with that product. That could be like anything. Like if you're a swimsuit company, like ask what colors are people like looking for. Okay, great. Now somebody feels like they were a part of your next line creation. Right? And you mirror back that you heard that feedback. 70% of people wanted blue swimsuits for spring. Here's our new aqua blah, blah, blah line. And we want to bring it to you first. So now you've asked them for feedback. You've told them you've listened. You show what you did. And then the next step is you seed it to them first. And they get that, and you ask them to be a part of your launch. And now you say, hey, March 20th, we're kicking off spring break with you all. And on this date, show off your new blue swimsuits, and we're going to give away, a trip or whatever. But like, you've now brought them on this journey that they feel a part of. And that's the peaks and valleys that I coach on and share whenever I'm helping somebody with their marketing plan.
I really, really like that. And one thing you mentioned early on as we started the story was about the strength of your personal brand, and something I wanted to talk about now, even for marketers or for our marketers that want to build their brand online. Sometimes posting something online or even building that to start with feels almost very cringy, right? Even when I read something on LinkedIn, I'm like, oh, it's another post. Unless of course it gives me value, then that's something I would save and read. But for someone who wants to start that journey with personal branding, especially online, where do you suggest they start? And how can they do it in a less cringy way?
So it's cringe for everyone. The people that are successful get through the cringe, because what happens is so my Twitter journey, like I can sit here and say, okay, I have 110,000 followers on Twitter. But the first year I had like 500. And it's not like it was like steady growth. Yeah. And anyone listening, like I stuck with it through that valley of just like, no one cares what I'm saying. Like I feel like I'm putting out good content, but it's not going anywhere. You have all of this self-doubt. But what I view that as is like, what an awesome exercise in life of like, to keep showing up to do something, even if you don't see immediate results.
Yeah.
You actually see a long-term vision. And so the work I do with like my community and in office hours is like, there's so much internal work you have to do to like align yourself with the person that you want to become through these actions. Because if you just say, I want to post so that I get more followers, you're going to stop. Yeah. But if you say, I have this long-term vision of making an impact, for me, it was like, I want to write a book one day. I want to, share what I've learned in my life. So I had this like longer term vision. Yeah. That makes those cringe moments so much more digestible. And then tactically, like there's a few things that just work. Okay. The first one is consistency. You have to show up. It like no one that's successful on Twitter and LinkedIn wake up one day and say, oh, I have this cool thought. I'm going to tweet it at 2 p.m. They have created a consistent routine so that people know when they're going to hear from them, what they're going to hear about, and that they're going to keep showing up at the same time. This does two things. One, the audience now knows, okay, Amanda's going to show up every morning and she's probably talking about building something, being a single mom and juggling it, productivity. Yeah. Like I know she's going to be there in the morning with something. Yeah. Cool. That's your audience. But then the other creators, what the secret no one talks about is that these creators all know each other. Yeah. And they've all kind of invisibly hand shook, like, hey, you're trying to do this, I'm trying to do this, let's support each other. And when you're starting out, the first year, I just was like tweeting into the void. Then what happened was I started to make friends with other people who had around 1,000. They would then comment on my stuff. Then, we'd get to like 2,000 together. And it just started to rise. I was like, oh, this is truly a social media. Like that's what people forget.
That's what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Right. And so the more people that you actually engage with offline, so Matt Kobach, Jack Appleby, like my first trip to New York City, it's like I was hanging out with people that I met from Twitter to make friends. Right. And then you then start, it makes it so much more. So go to those networking events, put faces to names, say, hey, I saw your podcast. I saw this, like, loved your tweet about this, like, do your homework and show up and then be like, hey, like, I'm trying to grow on Twitter. Like, would it be cool if I sent you a post every week that you could like engage with? Great. So consistency and community are the name of the game.
I really like that. I think I'll probably write, keep showing up at the top of my, to-do list, because I feel like that's the first thing, just keep showing up. I've been following your newsletter, Life is a Game, since you launched it, Amanda. And I love that burnout is one of the topics that you've addressed. And I know productivity is also something you've even addressed, like even in some of the YouTube videos you published some time back. As product marketers, we get bogged down with a lot of things. And I know you are personally someone who's got a lot going on. And sometimes I've read some of your emails that say that you get a lot done in the span of 2 hours a day. And I'm thinking, does she? How? So I want to, first of all, ask you, how do you know, what's your tell when you're experiencing burnout?
Mhm.
And second of all, how do you address that before we get to the whole productivity prioritization stuff? I think that's something a lot of us go through.
Yeah, I mean, look, the sad thing is almost everyone that I know that's like better about managing burnout, they're better because they hit that low, they hit that moment. And for me, I hit that moment, it was like November, December 2021. House of Wives was at its highest point. Kardashians had just posted, like it was blowing up.
Yeah.
And so on the outside, people saw me on big podcasts and, the TV, whatever, right? And so on the outside, like I am killing it. But what started to happen was my mental health was so bad that I started to experience panic attacks, which I had never experienced in my entire life. And so if you've never experienced a panic attack, what happens is you think you're having a heart attack and you start to like actually feel paralysis. And so I found myself like in an ambulance one night because I thought I was literally having a heart attack. And then I was getting on a plane. I had a speaking engagement in Vegas a few weeks later and literally got on the plane, started to feel my entire body go like paralyzed. I had to get off the plane, which has never happened before. Like she was like about to close the door and I was like, I have to go. And I got off the plane and I'm like, okay, my body is physically reacting to the stress. And like, look, if you're a high performer and a highly ambitious person like myself, we're good at handling a lot of stuff. Yeah. I did not think I was stretched. I was just doing it and I felt great. Like I was like, but my body was telling me that it was not okay. And so I had to like really figure out what that looks like. And so now to answer your question about like, how do I know when it's coming? One, I've now like set boundaries where I know I can't push myself.
Yeah.
And then I have rituals now, like every other Friday. So I'm divorced. I co-parent my kids with their dad. Yeah. So we do 1 week on, 1 week off. And so the Friday that my kids are going back to their dad, I have this ritual that I do where I go do a hard workout. I go sauna, I get an IV, and then I like just veg on the couch all night. And that is like I now have these routines that I don't skip so that I'm taking care of myself. And like that to me is like, you cannot wait until your car is broken down to go say like, oh, should I get it checked? Like, no, you should be adding oil and doing all the things you have to do with cars. I don't really know cars very well, but like the point is you don't wait until you're on the side of the road going, oh, I can't go anymore, Yeah.
I really like setting rituals for yourself. I think that's something that we all need to do. In terms of once you figure out your boundaries and everything, and when it comes to prioritizing work and things like that, how do you do that, Amanda, effectively to become productive? Because product marketers usually always get overburdened with a lot of things. We find it very difficult to say no. We want to say yes to everything. But how do you do that well?
Yeah. So I have this framework that I teach called offense and defense, right? Offense is I have the ball, I'm pushing my work forward, my big projects, my goals. Okay. Let's do product marketers, like you are working on, you have an OKR that you're working towards.
Yeah.
That is your offense. Then your defense is other people need stuff from you. They have requests, they have things they want. Hey, what do you think about this? Like, do you have this report? Can you pull this report for me? Like all that shit, right?
Yeah.
You have to structure your day so that you have offensive time and defensive time. And the thing with offensive time is, and this is where I talk a lot about my to-do list, like literally I have one like right here. So I always have a Post-it note and I only have 2 things on it.
Okay.
And those are the 2 things I'm doing that day in my offense time. And I guard that offense time with my life. Okay. Like that 2 hours, if I sit down and if I create a deck, if I create a media kit, if I do an email flow, like an email journey that needs to be created, if I sit down and do one big meaty thing a day, you are light years ahead. And I did that at the Knot as well. Like in the mornings, I've always just been a morning thinker. I guarded my morning time. I was like, no one gets me until 10:30. And I would get into the office at 8:30. And for 2 hours, I would I would either create like a great email that showed all these things, or I would have a new deck that would explain like why something's not working or what we need to do or propose, like whatever. I was constantly like guarding that offense time. What happens is most people it's kind of this busyness paradox. Yeah. Like just because you're busy doesn't mean you're doing impactful work.
Yeah.
And so if you find yourself like at the end of the day, you feel like you're going nonstop and then you're like, I don't know what I did today. That is your red flag to say, I had no time in offense. Yeah. What was my big to-do for today? And what did I need to push forward? And so I always have my offense time in the morning, and then I go into afternoons. That's when I can do meetings. That's when defense, other people need me. Yeah. And then the last thing is, and now this is like a luxury because when you move up in your career, this becomes way easier, but like email is the biggest time suck of any.
100%.
And so I have this approach. And now look, if you are early in your career and someone needs something from you and you don't answer right away, like that's not good. So take this with like a lens of where you are in your career. But I have a framework there's 2 approaches to email or 2 ways I approach email. During the day, I have little time blocks where I do what I call a scan. A scan is just looking for a fire. Like if I don't put this out, it will be an issue. So I'm just scanning. Okay, what is a fire? What needs my immediate attention? And I have little snippets of time that I will do that. Otherwise, email's closed out. I don't need to see it all the time. I don't need to see one thing popping up being like, oh, this person said this person. We sometimes as working individuals leave email up. Yeah. And like, that's our day.
Yeah.
And so close it out, be in control of your inbox. So that's number 1 is the scan. Then the clean. The clean happens every Friday.
Okay.
And so Friday afternoons, I'm like, this is on the days that I don't do my like fun little thing, but like usually Fridays at lunchtime, I'll like get out of my normal scenery and I'll go clean my inbox.
Right.
And that's when I'll actually go through and I'll, schedule stuff, like do whatever. But if you start to like really take back the ownership of like, no, email is not my work. My work is the 2 things a day that are my offense things that move my stuff forward.
Yeah.
Then you'll get so much more done in a week. And all of a sudden you're going to like go way past everyone else.
I really like that because it's so like when you say tool, it feels manageable. But then when you take your entire week, you've done
You did 10
big
massive
10
things.
things.
Yeah.
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 That's so great. Amanda, thank you so much for the time today. I know we covered all kinds of things, and thank you for sharing everything, your experience and everything that you've learned, and such great advice also. Thank you for taking the time today.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.